Hi, guys, and welcome to another 7-minute lecture. Is the UN useless? Does this body we call the United Nations serve any real purpose in today's world? Has it lived up to any of the responsibilities it assumed for itself 75 years ago? These are the central questions I want us to look at today. So, what is the United Nations? Most of you would know this already. It's an intergovernmental organization that was established right after the Second World War to uphold peace and security on the one hand and to promote international cooperation on the other. It was adopted and brought into force in 1945, so it's been about 76 years to be exact. It had 51 member states when it started, and it has about 193 member states today as we speak. So the major criticism of the UN is that it allows the major powers to do whatever they want and that it doesn't really fulfill its mandate of maintaining peace and security. If anything, its critics argue that the UN acts as the sort of active impediment in terms of trying to curtail the power of larger nations. I don't think there can be much arguing on this front because the facts are quite clear. The great superpowers of the world are certainly free to do whatever they want, regardless of the UN's opinion. Were there any consequences for Russia during the Russia-Georgia war in 2008? No. Were there any consequences for the USA for the invasion of Iraq in 2003? No. Is there still any consequence for China for their ongoing policies against the Uyghur Muslims? No. The great powers have been just as untouchable as ever before. In fact, you could argue that the UN exists precisely to do this, to allow the great powers to do essentially whatever they want. Because think about it. The UN was established after the Second World War by the winners of the war to ensure that they would be the ones who dictated terms to the rest of the world. It was an organization created to ensure that the balance of power at the time was centralized within these select countries. Let me explain. The UN has two basic levels of power. One is known as the General Assembly and the other is known as the Security Council. The General Assembly is what we would usually see if we Googled United Nations or if we see it mentioned somewhere. It's that big hall with all the flags where representatives from every country come to discuss their issues and leaders make speeches and all that. This body is just a place for discussion. It's a place for expressing approval or disapproval rather than exercising any real power. It can either say well done or it can say boo-hoo. There's nothing it can do beyond that. The real power of the UN lies in the second tier, what is known as the Security Council. The Security Council has 5 permanent members: the USA, the UK, France, Russia, and China. Coincidentally, or perhaps not so coincidentally, these were also the 5 winners of the Second World War. Maybe not China directly, but it was certainly on the side of the Allies and against the Japanese in the Second World War. And all the power that the UN has in terms of military mobilization, in terms of binding resolutions, in terms of just flexing the UN's muscles, all that belongs to nobody but these 5, because these 5 have what is known as a veto power. Veto, as most of you would know already, means no. So these 5 countries have the power to say no. Think of this scenario. The entire world wants to turn right. One country, which happens to be a permanent member of the United States, says, nope, I'm not letting any of you turn right. And they use their veto power to vote that down. The entire world is now helpless. The entire UN architecture is helpless to do anything against this, and nobody can turn right. And this is why when we look at the world around us today, and when we look at the countries in which the UN has actually intervened, they are all nations with no geopolitical relevance whatsoever. How many of us can point to where Liberia is on the world map? How many of us know where Rwanda is? How many people know where East Timor is? And yet it's only in countries like this that we see the UN playing any intervening role when a country breaks out, and where we see the UN trying to hold leaders accountable. Because all you need is a friend, one friend among these 5 permanent members, and you can get away scot-free with whatever you want. There's nothing the UN can do about it. Does this render the UN entirely useless though? I wouldn't say so, because on the humanitarian front, in terms of organizations like UNDP, the UNHCR, UNICEF, there is a lot of solid work being done in terms of development, refugee protection, helping countries with economic aid and stuff. These sub-branches of the UN do have to be commended for what they've done over the last 75 years. Of course, even here you could argue that they haven't really done what they intended to do. If you look at the Millennium Development Goals, for instance, not even a single one of those goals was achieved by the UN when the millennium came up 2 decades ago. But those are matters of incompetence and not malice. You can also argue that the UN is successful because we haven't had a third world war. That unlike the League of Nations, the UN actually prevented another great war from breaking out. But then again, you would need to be reminded that it was the advent of nuclear weapons that currently prevents the major powers from going to war with each other, not the UN. If the UN was truly effective in preventing conflict, we would see a reduction in fighting all over the world. But we don't see that at all. It's only the nuclear powers who don't fight with each other anymore. The rest are still just as eager to fight each other, and the rest still fight each other just as frequently, with very little done by the UN to bring any of these conflicts to an end, unless it's one of these countries like Burkina Faso and the Congo and all that, who don't really have any geopolitical clout. So that was the lecture, guys. A pessimistic take perhaps, but I do need to be honest with my audience, and it would be very hard for any objective assessment to praise what the UN has been doing or to praise the way that it's structured. If you like content like this, please don't forget to share and subscribe. Take care, thank you, and I'll see you soon.